You know, usually when we talk about a conflict, there's this ingrained expectation of like volume.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's like it operates almost like Newtonian physics.
Yeah, right. An action demands an equal and opposite reaction.
Exactly. Someone comes at you with an accusation, and the immediate instinct, I mean, the instinct of almost every human being on the planet is to just raise your voice.
Yeah, you want to defend your territory.
Right. You push back just as hard. We are culturally wired to think that whoever is the loudest, whoever has the sharpest comeback, is the one who actually holds the power in the room.
The paradigm is just incredibly binary. It's like attack, defend, strike, counterstrike. We treat every single interpersonal conflict as this, zero-sum game where you either win the argument completely or you just lose your dignity.
Which is clean, predictable, and ultimately just completely exhausting.
Exhausting.
But, if you step into the world of emotional resilience and, like, spiritual warfare, that entire physics equation we just talked about flips completely upside down.
It really does.
We are looking at a landscape of conflict resolution today that is just entirely counterintuitive. So, to you listening, welcome back. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
But here we have another gem from the pen of Beverly Gordon, who is, honestly, a well-established communicator.
Definitely.
And today, our mission on this deep dive is to basically dissect her latest text. It's titled, "Silence is Your Weapon."
Such a powerful title.
It really is. We want to really get in there and extract the wealth of knowledge from it.
The title itself drops us directly into the core paradox right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in our culture, we frame silence as passive. We think of it as a defensive crouch.
Right, like a surrender.
Exactly. Or a sign that you've just been completely outmatched. But Beverly Gordon just refuses that definition. She frames silence not as a retreat, but as this highly active, incredibly empowering tool.
Literally a weapon.
Literally a weapon.
I mean, to understand how the absence of sound becomes a weapon, we first have to, look at what she's actually fighting against.
Right, the adversary.
Yeah, she refers to it simply as the darkness. And there's this line early on that completely inverts typical conflict psychology.
Oh, I know the one.
Yeah, she writes, "But I must be doing right if the darkness keeps knocking at my door."
It's brilliant. She is taking that visceral feeling of being targeted and fundamentally changing its meaning.
Because usually when, toxic behavior or unprovoked anger keeps knocking at your door, the default reaction is just despair.
Yeah, you ask, why is this happening to me?
Right. What did I do to deserve this? We internalize the attack as a punishment.
But she doesn't do that at all.
No, she doesn't. And it actually reminds me of a classic video game mechanic.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that.
Well, if you're playing a game, right, and you're just wandering around an empty field where nothing is happening, you're probably going the wrong way.
Right. You're off the map.
Exactly. But the second you start running into enemies, the second the resistance ramps up and things get super difficult, you know you're headed in the right direction.
Because you're getting closer to the goal.
Yes. The adversity itself is the validation that you're on the right path.
I love that analogy. And, that validation is critical for psychological survival. Beverly reframes the attack as a confirmation of her own light. The underlying logic is that the darkness is only attacking her because her light is a genuine threat.
Wow, yeah.
And because she realizes that, she makes this really calculated strategic choice. She notes, I won't answer it for. I come to realize that silence is golden.
She just refuses to engage on its terms.
Exactly. She refuses the game entirely.
And she takes it even further than that, right? Like entirely removing herself from the petty back and forth. She says, you can say what you please, do what you want, but never will I answer, for the day will come when you behold the voice of God speaking for me.
Which raises this fascinating philosophical point about the nature of defense and, honestly, the human ego.
Oh, for sure.
Because silence, at least in this specific context, isn't just the absence of a response. It's a highly strategic deferral.
Deferral, right.
Yeah, by stating that the voice of God will speak for her, she's relinquishing that desperate, that human need to control the narrative in real time.
Which goes against literally every instinct we have.
Oh, absolutely.
When someone attacks us, we want to immediately produce the receipts, right? We want to point out the flaws in their logic and just force them to understand our side of the story.
We crave that immediate vindication. But, trying to explain yourself to someone who is fully committed to misunderstanding you,
Oh, it's impossible.
it's a massive drain on your cognitive and emotional resources. When you defer that judgment to a higher power or, just the ultimate justice, you conserve your energy.
You let the attacker just exhaust themselves swinging at the air.
Exactly. It's a concept deeply tied to what behavioral psychologists actually call an extinction burst.
Oh, wait, an extinction burst. I haven't heard that term. How does that apply to staying silent?
Well, when you stop rewarding a negative behavior, the behavior initially gets way worse before it gets better.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if an attacker is used to getting a rise out of you, like getting a dopamine hit from your defensive reaction, and suddenly you just go silent, they will temporarily escalate.
Because they're freaking out that it's not working anymore.
Right. The knocking gets louder and more frantic because they're trying to force the reaction they're accustomed to. But if you maintain the silence, if you refuse to provide that reward, the behavior eventually just burns itself out.
So the silence actually starves the darkness.
Precisely. It cuts off the oxygen supply to the entire conflict.
That sounds incredibly effective in theory, I mean, obviously. But we really have to look at the mechanics of actually pulling this off in the real world.
Yeah, the practical application.
Because it's one thing to mentally decide, like, I'm going to ignore this attack. It's a completely different thing to maintain that posture without just snapping under the pressure.
Oh, for sure.
But the text actually reveals the architecture of this resilience, pointing to a very specific foundation of inner strength.
She does. She gives us a very clear picture of that foundation. She writes, "A heart that was once broken has now found the strength through God. And as each passing day, it beats with the rhythm of peace."
I do need to push back on the reality of this just a little bit, though.
Okay, go for it.
If we apply this to real-world conflicts, doesn't ignoring an unprovoked attack carry a massive risk? I mean, she specifically notes in the text that the attacker keeps coming even though she never caused you no harm or do you no wrong.
Right.
So if the attack is completely unjust, doesn't staying silent allow the attacker's lies to basically become the official record? Aren't bystanders just going to assume that your silence is an admission of guilt?
You are highlighting the exact tension that makes deploying silence so incredibly difficult.
Right, because it feels so risky.
It does. But you're looking at this through the lens of public relations while the author's prioritizing personal peace.
Ah, PR versus peace.
Exactly. Engaging with false accusations often just amplifies them. You end up validating the premise of the attack simply by participating in the argument at all.
That makes a lot of sense.
The author knows the truth of her own innocence. She realizes that fighting for public vindication is just a trap. It forces you to operate on the attacker's chaotic frequency.
But still, the internal pressure of holding that in, I mean, isn't it just agonizing to bite your tongue while someone is actively trying to destroy your character?
It's agonizing only if you are fighting from a place of ego or from a place of deficit.
Okay, what do you mean by that?
If you rely purely on human willpower to bite your tongue, you will eventually run out of energy. Willpower is a finite resource.
Right, you'll eventually snap.
You will snap. But look closely at the mechanism the author describes here. She isn't just white-knuckling her way through this silence. The narrator is no longer relying on her own exhausted emotional reserves.
Oh, because of the heart that was once broken.
Yes, that detail is vital. A heart that has been broken and subsequently healed often exhibits what psychologists call post-traumatic growth.
Post-traumatic growth. Wow.
When you hit a profound emotional low and have to rebuild your foundation entirely, and in her case, sourcing her strength externally through God, that new foundation is fundamentally stronger than one that has never been tested.
It isn't just repaired, it's fortified.
Fortified, exactly.
So she isn't suppressing this chaotic rhythm of panic and anger. Her internal frequency, that rhythm of peace she talks about, is actively overriding the external noise.
She's operating from a completely secure vantage point. The darkness wants to drag her into a state of anxiety, but when she declares that those tears will not fall, I will stand tall in front of you, I won't bend, she's describing the structural integrity of that healed heart.
The noise of the attack just bounces off.
Right, because there is no insecurity for it to latch onto.
And, being inside a fortress like that, it changes how you view the battlefield entirely.
It really does.
That continuous loop of inner security leads to a massive inversion of typical conflict psychology. And I think it brings us to, honestly, the most surprising turn in Beverly's message.
Oh, the empathy shift.
Yes. Usually the progression of being attacked goes from fear to anger to retaliation.
Yeah.
But Beverly bypasses retaliation completely and just lands on genuine empathy.
The shift from self-preservation to pity is profound. She writes, "For heaven, know I wish you peace," and later, "May the darkness step aside so you can breathe."
It's incredible.
She is actively wishing for the liberation of the person who is attacking her.
And to understand how someone even achieves that level of grace,
Mm-hmm.
we need to look at how she diagnoses the attacker.
Right.
She doesn't see them as this powerful enemy. She sees them as a victim of their own tactics.
Yeah.
She describes their lies as a dirty game that takes over your mind and heart. It blinds you so you cannot see the light.
She basically performs a psychological autopsy on the attacker's methodology.
Oh, I like that phrase.
She calls the darkness a lonely road that carries a weapon of lies that cause you everlasting pain. She recognizes the deep irony that the weapon being wielded against her is actually destroying the person holding it.
It's like someone setting off a smoke bomb to ruin your day, but they've locked themselves in a tiny closet to do it.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And you're just standing outside in the fresh air watching them choke on their own smoke through a glass window. You don't feel angry at them.
No, you just hope they find the door so they can breathe.
Exactly.
That analogy captures the dynamic perfectly. The tact explicitly asks the attacker, "What are you going to do?" For peace is not with you. When an individual is constantly lashing out, it is almost always a mechanism of projection. They are externalizing their own internal turmoil. They're trying to make someone else feel the chaos they're trapped in.
And when the target, in this case, Beverly refuses to absorb that chaos, it just remains entirely with the attacker.
Right. The lies create massive cognitive dissonance for the person telling them.
Because they know they're lying.
Exactly. The attacker knows they are lying, which creates this deep internal fracture. The neurological and emotional effort required to maintain a lie, to keep walking that lonely road, is just exhausting.
It isolates them.
It isolates them from reality and from genuine human connection. And Beverly sees the pain of that isolation.
She genuinely pities them. She says, "Indeed, I wish you will one day find the piece of light that shines so bright." It takes an immense, highly evolved strength to look at someone trying to destroy you and recognize that they are actually destroying themselves.
That completely neutralizes the threat, doesn't it?
It really does.
When you understand that an attacker's aggression is merely a symptom of their own profound lack of peace, the anger dissolves. You realize their actions are not a reflection of your worth, but just a loud broadcast of their own suffering.
You stop taking the attack personally.
Exactly.
But, that continuous loop of wishing them peace isn't just a fleeting thought in the text. It's structurally baked into the way Beverly actually writes this.
The mantra.
Yes. You notice how she keeps bringing the reader back to that one specific mantra.
The structural choices here are highly deliberate. She repeats a core stanza multiple times. "Silence is golden. I will continue to walk with my head held upright. I will not break, nor will I bow to the darkness. I will continue walking in the light."
It hits like a drumbeat throughout the piece.
It does.
Just as the darkness keeps knocking, this mantra keeps resetting the rhythm.
From a neurological standpoint, repetition is a vital grounding technique.
Right.
When the human brain processes chronic stress or an ongoing attack, it tends to spiral into a fight-or-flight response. Thoughts fragment, adrenaline spikes, and we just lose our center entirely. By weaving this mantra throughout the text, the author creates a cognitive anchor.
Every time the lies or the unprovoked attacks are mentioned in the text, she doesn't linger on them, right? She doesn't spiral into analyzing them.
No, she immediately returns to the anger. "Silence is golden. I will continue to walk."
She has demonstrated the active, real-time practice of neuroplasticity.
Yes, exactly.
You can literally wire your brain for peace through repeated intentional focus. She shows the reader that maintaining resilience isn't just some one-and-done achievement.
It's a practice.
It's a practice.
Yeah.
You have to continually reaffirm it. You have to actively choose to walk in the light every single time the darkness knocks, over and over again.
It's incredibly powerful.
It is. And, I want to take a moment here to just formally congratulate Beverly Gordon on her authorship.
Oh, absolutely.
It takes a very specific, refined talent to take incredibly complex, heavy themes like spiritual warfare, the psychology of emotional resilience, the excruciating mechanics of forgiveness, and distill them into a message that is so actively empowering.
Her talents are really undeniable.
Yeah. She didn't just write a reflection. I feel like she wrote an anthem.
She manages to synthesize a deep understanding of human psychology with a highly elevated spiritual perspective. She doesn't just point vaguely to the destination of peace, right? She maps out the deliberate, daily cognitive steps required to actually walk that road.
And extracting all this insight actually sparked a thought for me about her future writing.
Oh, a suggestion.
Yeah, sort of a suggestion, or just a hope. Because in the middle of this unbowing, powerful narrative, she drops that one incredibly vulnerable detail about a heart that was once broken.
Right, that is the fulcrum of the entire piece, the hidden transition from brokenness to the rhythm of peace.
Exactly. We see the end result of that transition here. We see the fortress. We see the unbreakable silence, the empathy for the enemy. But what would be an incredible companion piece to this text is an exploration of that specific journey.
That would be amazing.
Right. I would love to see how one navigates from the devastating moment of the break through the messy, painful process of healing to finally arrive at that unshakable foundation. How does one actually learn to source their strength externally when their own internal reserves are completely empty?
That's the million-dollar question.
It is. And I think Beverly has the exact right voice to guide people through that specific valley.
I agree completely. Unpacking the anatomy of that healing process would be immensely valuable for anyone currently in the middle of it, because as her text powerfully proves, true strength doesn't always roar.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't always demand to be heard. Sometimes true strength is just the quiet, resolute decision to keep walking forward in the light, refusing to bow to the chaos around you.
Maintaining your own atmosphere no matter how much smoke is outside the door.
Perfectly said. The ultimate takeaway here is the realization that you are not obligated to attend every argument you're invited to.
I love that.
Your silence, when grounded in truth and inner peace, is far more deafening to the darkness than any shout could ever be.
Well, I am eagerly looking forward to Beverly's piercing works of fine art in the future.
Same here.
If this piece is any indication, she has a truly vital voice for anyone trying to navigate the complex realities of modern conflict.
Absolutely.
So, for you listening, as you go back out into your day, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Think about a conflict in your own life right now. Maybe it's a difficult coworker, a tense family dynamic, or just a situation where you feel absolutely desperate to have the last word and prove your point.
We all have those.
We do. But what would happen if, instead of swinging back, instead of trying to clear the smoke for someone who insists on staying in the dark,
Right.
you let silence be your golden weapon?
Right.
What if you just let the darkness exhaust itself, endlessly knocking on a door that you simply refuse to open?